All right, today we are diving deep into the Enneagram Type One, the reformer. And we're going to be using a source that is, well, it's pretty direct. It promises an unfiltered look at this type, so buckle up.
A punch in the face. Yeah, that's a pretty intense way to describe a book, right? But it actually makes a lot of sense when you find out the source material comes from an Enneagram 8. And if you know anything about 8s, you know they don't pull their punches. So the whole idea here is to really shine a light on those trippy blind spots and the things that Type 1s can get stuck on.
So, here's our game plan. We're going to start with how Type 1s often show up in the world. That public face. Then we'll peel back the layers and look at their internal struggles. Get right to the core fear that's driving everything. And then, finally, we'll map out a path toward growth and, well, serenity. All right, first up, the goody two-shoes. Let's really dig into how Type 1s see themselves and how that whole self-perception thing shapes, well, pretty much everything they do.
Okay, so this right here, this is the absolute core engine of a Type 1. It's not about vanity. It's not just about looking good. It's this deep, almost primal need to be good, to have integrity. They've got this super high standard for themselves, and honestly, they genuinely hope that by living that way, they can inspire everyone else to level up too.
But, and there's always a but, right? This is where that really noble desire can get complicated. It can kind of twist itself into a need for control. See, when a Type 1 looks out and sees a world full of flaws, their immediate impulse is to fix it. And how do they do that? By correcting what's wrong, by trying to be a moral example, and by really expecting everyone to just follow the rules.
Okay, so let's move on. We're about to see how all that external drive to fix things creates this massive, intense conflict on the inside. And this is where it gets really fascinating. Because for a Type 1, what's going on internally is often the complete opposite of what they're showing to the rest of the world. The source uses this perfect metaphor, an internal pressure cooker. Just imagine it. A Type 1 is constantly seeing this huge gap between the ideal world in their head and the messy, flawed reality in front of them. And that gap, it just breeds frustration. But here's the kicker. Showing anger isn't good. It's not right. So what happens? They push it down, suppress it, and that pressure just builds and builds and builds. And this right here is a textbook example of the Type 1's main defense mechanism. It's called reaction formation. Basically, you show the world one thing, a polite smile, a super calm tone, while on the inside, you are just seething with resentment about some injustice or mistake you just spotted.
And what's feeding that pressure cooker? Well, it's this core belief that at its heart, the world is a rotten place. It's corrupt. It's unethical. For a Type 1, it's not just that a few things are out of place. No, the entire system is fundamentally broken.
So, what happens? Their attention becomes like a heat-seeking missile for anything that confirms this belief. Their eyes just naturally scan and lock onto the flaw, the mistake, the one thing that needs fixing. Why? Because every single imperfection they find just validates that deep-down belief that the world is broken.
So you have to ask, right? What's the cost of all this? This constant need to correct everything? Because that internal state, it doesn't just stay inside. It eventually spills over into their relationships and totally affects how other people see them.
And this gets us to the central, kind of tragic paradox of the Type 1. I mean, their intentions are so pure. They genuinely, truly want to make the world a better place. But their method, this relentless, laser focus on what's wrong, can so often have the exact opposite effect.
I mean, it makes total sense when you think about it from the other side, right? If you always feel like you're a disappointment, like you can just never, ever meet someone's standards, what do? You pull back, you withdraw, you keep things on the surface. And that's why people might stop being truly vulnerable around a Type 1. And the real irony? This just makes the one feel even more alone in their mission.
The source calls this criticism the Type 1's drug of choice, and man, is that a powerful image. See, their own inner critic is just brutal. It's relentless. So criticizing something or someone else, it offers this tiny moment of relief. It's a way to shift that intense critical spotlight off of themselves, even for just a second.
Okay, now we are getting to the absolute heart of it, the emotional core of the Type 1. Everything we've talked about so far, that need for control, the pressure cooker, the constant criticism, it's all a defense mechanism. It's all built to protect them from one single deep-seated fear.
So what is it? What's the real fear? What's the engine driving this whole cycle of perfectionism and correction? I'll tell you this much, it goes way, way deeper than just being afraid of being wrong.
Here it is. The core fear is that their own inner contamination, their own flaws, will ultimately win. That despite all their efforts to be good, they won't just fail, they will actually add to the world's corruption. It's the terrifying fear of becoming the very thing they hate, the very thing they're trying to fix.
You see the conflict here? It's just incredibly painful. On the outside, you've got this projection of moral superiority, of having it all figured out. But on the inside, there's this quiet, haunting suspicion that they might be completely and utterly depraved.
Okay, so that's pretty heavy, right? But understanding that fear is the crucial first step. So now let's pivot. Let's talk about the path to growth. What's the way out of this cycle for a Type 1? And the goal, the real goal here, isn't perfection, it's serenity. That's the healthy, integrated state for Type 1. It's this grounded, peaceful acceptance that things are actually okay, right now, just as they are, imperfections and all. And look, this isn't about giving up. It's about letting go of that crushing need to control everything. So how do you get there? Well, the path involves a few key things. First, you have to accept imperfection, not just out there in the world, but inside yourself. Next, you practice forgiveness for others and for your own mistakes. Then, you gotta embrace some playfulness. Lean into that spontaneous, joyful energy of Type 7. And finally, you use your wings. You tap into the compassion of Wing 2 to connect with people's hearts, not just their mistakes, and the peaceful acceptance of Wing 9, which helps you see that good enough is, well, it's actually pretty great. And I love this. The source gives this awesome, practical, and kind of mischievous challenge. Ready for it? Intentionally break a small, harmless rule. Like, don't return the shopping cart. I know, for a Type 1, that sounds like chaos. But it's this tiny act of rebellion against that screaming inner critic. A small step toward a little more freedom.
So we'll leave you with this final powerful question to think about. It really gets to the absolute core of the Type 1's journey. It's a challenge, really. A challenge to look at the unintended consequences of your very best intentions and to maybe, just maybe, find a more peaceful way to live in this beautifully, wonderfully imperfect world.